How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at some Pokemon rumors, leaks, all that kind of stuff. Let's get started. First things first, guys, is going to be this thing over on YouTube. So this is actually an official countdown set of videos being made by, you guys know who, it's the Pokemon Company. Yes, the Pokemon Company is officially doing these countdown videos. They're kind of cute. They, if you watch them, they play like some music. They show a bunch of Pokemon, and then it says 5 days, right? So it's counting down the days until the Pokemon Presents, which is really, really cute and cool. So, yeah, just thought I would share that and see what you guys think about that real quick. And then let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be 4chan. So 4chan has a few rumors. Now, in this video, we're going to look at these rumors, and then also going to do some of my own predictions. And I want to know in the comment section right now, what are your predictions for Pokemon Day? Like, what do you expect to see during the Pokemon Presents? You can write down your predictions. I'm going to do my predictions here in this video as well. I might do another video where I do even more discussion and predictions and stuff, maybe with a friend or something. But let's take a look at this rumor first, which is Pokemon Presents on the 27th of February. They say that apparently Drowsy and Hypno for Pokemon Sleep released after the Presents, which already seems like it's going to be the case based on some of the leaks, rumors, all that kind of stuff. Basically already hints at that being the case. So not that crazy. Am I real with you? Sounds about right. Sounds pretty realistic. Then they say that Victory Bell and Pheromosa for Pokemon Unite. Now that's a bit of a wild one. That's a bit of a wild card. I'm not going to lie. That's a little bit out there. That's a little bit like less, I would say, you know, less, not less likely, but like less of a known thing, or less of a speculated, you know, thing. So next thing though is new games for Nintendo Switch Online, including but not limited to an English release of Pokemon Trading Card Game 2. Here comes Team Great Rocket. Okay. So first of all, new games for Nintendo Switch Online. One of those being Pokemon TCG card, or like TCG card games. This is like the game for the Game Boy, I think. The Pokemon Trading Card Game on the Game Boy way back in the day, like advanced version, I think. And they're just saying that that's going to be coming to Nintendo Switch Online, which again wouldn't be that crazy. I mean, I don't know if you guys would be excited for that. Maybe you are a fan of those games in particular. I would be more excited for something like, you know, like I would be way more excited realistically for, you know, red, blue, yellow, green. I just said all the colors. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, you know, Fire Red, Leaf Green. That's something I'd be more excited for personally. Gold, Silver, Crystal, that kind of stuff, right? But I digress. They say new games for Nintendo Switch Online, okay. And then a new update. An update for Pokemon Quest. Not happening. Not happening. Okay, first of all, listen, if you guys do not know what Pokemon Quest is, we're going to simply just do a little bit of a Google search here to show you what we're talking about. So this is Pokemon Quest. Now, here's the reality of Pokemon Quest. It is a dead game, okay? It is a dead game for the most part. Like, it has not been updated for the Pokemon, like, the English community. The English side has not been updated in God knows how long. It's been years, okay? Like, it's just, it doesn't have anything else. There's just nothing else to do in the game. It's practically dead. You can still play it, of course. If you start from scratch, you can still play it and try to do your best to collect all the Pokemon, all the cube-shaped Pokemon. You can still have fun with it, right? But the game itself has not had an update in forever. We haven't even heard about Pokemon Quest officially in forever. So I highly doubt they would do that. He says, apparently an update for Pokemon Quest, bringing worldwide release in sync with the Chinese version. Now, if you don't know, the Chinese version of Pokemon Quest, right? So the English version of Pokemon Quest, the one that you can go and download right now if you're in the West like myself, issue with that version is it only goes up to Gen 1. It doesn't have Gen 2, doesn't have Gen 3. But the Chinese version, like that version though, has way more content. But this is also where it's unlikely. The Chinese version of Pokemon Quest is also shutting down in February. So unless this is supposed to be just a last-ditch effort to just update the game so that everybody has access to those other Pokemon, maybe that would be a possibility, but it just seems so unlikely with a game that's practically dead. So I don't know about it. I don't see it happening. Then they say a look at Pokemon Legends ZA. Obviously, that's the thing that's going to be more like, if everything else here is fake, we do know for a fact that at least Legends ZA is going to be shown, right? We know that without a doubt. That's going to happen. But nonetheless, though, they say apparently it's going to start with a scene of Professor Olea inducting the player character into the Quasar Initiative. Okay. A comprehensive plan to return balance to the lives of man and Pokemon alike, before switching to a simulated gameplay showing the player character entering an alleyway and encountering and battling a Patrat. It then shows several Pokemon mega evolving, specifically Lucario, Heracross, Gogoat, Ribombee, and a blurry black-green Pokemon. Finally, a wild mane of a red and gray hair is partially on the screen before it cuts to the black screen with the date 21/08/25. So what would that be? Like, is that August? That's August, right? So August 21st. Okay. Apparently, they go on and say, encountering battling pattern. Okay. Afterwards, one more announcement is teased as a Ralts walks across the screen. What would that Ralts even be then? Like, okay, Ralts walks across the screen. And then what? Gen 3? I don't know. It doesn't really say much. But I don't know. Again, the idea of like Pokemon, Pokemon Quest getting an update now. I'm sorry, brother, that's not happening. It ain't happening, okay? It's just not realistic. It's not something they would do now because it makes no sense. Like, why would they bother? Like, it's too far gone to be doing that now. Like, we're way past the due date for that to be, you know, like even a likelihood, right? We're way past it at this point. So I doubt it. I really doubt it. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it ends up being actually real. Who knows? We'll see, right? Like, we will have to wait and see. But again, keep in mind, there's a lot of stuff here that just makes it feel less likely. The next up, we have a bit of a fun, I guess, like theory of sorts, right? Like a bit of a theory from somebody, like kind of a little bit of a speculation, right? Which is perfect because I can use this as a way to kind of talk about my speculations about these upcoming, this upcoming Pokemon Day. So the person starts by saying Pokemon Day predictions and other shits. So normally when I want to share my IDs and predictions for things like Pokemon Day, I'll typically mask them as a fake leak in order to garner attention, get my IDs out there. However, just want to explain some things that the greater Pokemon community just won't seem to grasp. So this is somebody who makes these posts, but they're just admitting here that they're making fake ones. Then they're saying this isn't a fake leak. It's just my IDs and predictions. So don't read this if you don't want to, or just read the TLDR at the bottom. If I was you, I'd probably wouldn't read it, call myself an idiot, and move on. But for those who you care, I'd like to consider what I have to say. Okay, so you know what? I actually prefer this. In some way, I prefer this because we get a lot of these fake leaks where they just list a bunch of stuff they want in the game, and then it's like there's nothing substantial there. But like seeing actually what people have to think and these theories and ways we can sort of figure out like where we're all standing with our thoughts and opinions is actually better. They say then that black and white remakes are not happening. Now, I've said this before, but I do not think black and white remakes are going to be shown this time around. There's always a chance because remember, BDSP and Legends Arceus both happened at the same time, but both were revealed around the same time and both happened at the same time. So it's highly possible that that still could happen, but it just doesn't make any sense. And here's what he thinks about it. He says, at least they're not happening this year. One thing that Pokemon fans don't understand is the power of influence of the TCG has on the entirety of the Pokemon franchise. True, sure. It literally triumphs the games when it comes to the revenue for the Pokemon company. And more people play the game competitively than the video games. What this has to do with black and white is that Black Bolt and White Flare already confirmed TCG sets releasing June of this year. It will feature all 156 Unova Pokemon and blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Let's think for a moment. If Unova remakes were really happening on Pokemon Day this year, wouldn't the Pokemon Company Incorporated have saved Black Bolt and White Flare for late 2025 instead? Unless, of course, the Unova remakes come out in May, which is possible, okay? Let's not forget, it is a possibility. Come out in May or June, that'd be stupid if it doesn't make any sense from a marketing standpoint to do this. So what other games could they reveal at Pokemon Day instead? Well, I was thinking Synapse. Now, if you don't know what Synapse is, right? We're gonna have to like, of course, a synapse is literally like the thing within your, I think your eye, right? It's like, literally, as it says here, the site of transmission of electrical nerve impulses between the two nerves, the neurons, or between the neuron and the gland of the muscle. Either way, but if we look up specifically Pokemon, here we go, Pokemon Synapse, right? So if you guys do not know, there was a project, there was a Pokemon game codenamed Pokemon Synapse, right? Which was in development and was supposed to be, or is supposed to be, a multiplayer and battle-focused game per data leaks. Now this, we already learned this a while back, right? Now if we go over here, we can check out PokeOS, which by the way, shout out to PokeOS. They're actually launching a app soon. If you guys do not know PokeOS, it's a website that like does great news aggregation. They're fantastic. And basically what they have here is a breakdown of all this stuff. But basically, they say Terra Leaks, Project Rodeo, and Project Synapse. Rodeo is a scrapped multiplayer game similar to Splatoon that could still be in development as now called Project Synapse. They then say, before reading, of course, BMR, this is just, there's numerous spoilers and this is leaked material. First of all, Project Rodeo. Rodeo was a planned Pokemon game conceptualized in 2020, set in the new Rodeo region. It featured Berserk Pokemon, rideable Pokemon, and cooperative gameplay for up to 4 players on mobile and Switch. The game was designed with gameplay elements similar to Splatoon. As of now, the project is believed to be cancelled, though it may have evolved into Project Synapse. Now, Project Synapse, well, we'll get to that in a second. Here they said, though, the Rodeo region explore a rich tapestry of environments spread across multiple islands. The Forest Island, the Flame Island, the Ice Island, Ruins Island, and the Jungle Island, which are lushy greenery, volcanic terrain with fiery challenges, frozen landscape and icy caverns, ancient structures with treacherous swamps, tropical paradise teeming with life. Each island would have featured unique ecosystems influencing the types and behaviors of the Pokemon you'll encounter. They also would have had Berserk Pokemon, caused by Berserk particles, enhanced abilities and behavior, calming mechanic implemented, so there was some way to calm them down, right? And we already had some pictures of what a Berserk Pokemon could look like. This is actually leaked images. This is genuine stuff from that game. Now, they move on and say then, rideable Pokemon. Now, various Pokemon can be mounted, used for exploration and possibly battles. Pokemon skins experience new dimension of battling with evolved held items and grant special abilities. So yes, there was going to be different sorts of skins. You guys can see there's like different patterns you were going to be able to put on your Pokemon, and you were able to ride the Pokemon. This is what that project was. This is what Pokemon Rodeo, Project Rodeo, which of course Rodeo, because yeah, you're riding them like, you know, like a rodeo, right? You guys, you get it. You get it. I don't need to explain that. Held item evolutions experience a new dimension of battling with evolved held items that grant special abilities. Customizable characters create your not now, Pokeos. I'm sorry, boys. I got to get through it. Customizable characters. Create your perfect trainer with detailed customization options. Dynamic environments. Enjoy day and night cycle and weather changes that affect Pokemon appearances and gameplay. Multi-platform. Play on Nintendo Switch for quick sessions or smartphones. Yes, it was supposed to be multi-platform. And here are the list of the Pokemon that were supposed to be playable based on images and stuff. Because they had a list of actual playable stuff. And some concept art of what they were thinking of doing with this, right? This is sick concept art, by the way. I really love this. But what does this have to do with anything? Well, it leads us to Project Synapse. Now, this is a new multiplayer Pokemon game, which is also in development. It's codenamed Synapse, described as similar to Splatoon, and jointly developed by Game Freak, Ilka, and the Pokemon Company. Now, this is the game that might be being made by the new company called Pokemon Works, the Pokemon Works company, right? Now, Pokemon Works is a joint venture between Ilka and the Pokemon main company that are working together to make new products. It is possible that this Project Synapse has been done or sent over and is created by them. The leaker then indicated that they will not reveal additional information about this project, like the leaker themselves. And then Project Synapse sounds very similar to Project Rodeo, so they could have just revised the idea again and started a new project from that. But this information was shared by Central Leaks on X or other sources, not directly from us. But yeah, shout out to them though for still like having like a nice little overview of this, because this project is something that definitely still could be in the works, right? Now, keep in mind, they had something in the works. They were trying to make something. They were working on something like this, but then they kind of revised their plans and started a new project, Synapse. This is possibly a game that could come out this year. So I do agree with this poster here. This actually highly is possible. Like, we definitely could see Project Synapse. Right. Then they continue on and say here, or Gen 10 may very well be this year. Firstly, I will admit that I learned about this from somebody else. I'm not here best expert when it comes to explaining this. I do not play the TCG at all, but the person I heard this from does. Essentially, when a TCG card is released, it remains legal for about 3 years. Currently, when we hit March of this year, the very last Sword and Shield cards will no longer be usable in competitive play, which of course they could always change the rules technically, but yeah. In March 2026, the same thing will happen in the early Scarlet and Violet cards. If Gen 10 were to be in late 2026, that means that there would be a period in Scarlet and Violet in which Scarlet and Violet is still the current generation of the TCG, but the early cards won't be available to use. Normally, this is remedied with the coming of a new generation, but releasing Gen 10 in late 2026 would unnaturally extend the lifespan of Scarlet and Violet. I've personally come up with 4 solutions to this. A, extend the expiration date of the early Scarlet and Violet cards, of course. B, introduce a new pseudo-generation to the TCG, something like Legends DA generation. C, just say F it and do nothing about the early Scarlet and Violet cards getting banned, which is definitely a possibility. Or D, release Gen 10 in 2025. A would not work because this would mean that the early Scarlet and Violet cards would then expire in March 2027. However, by then, the cards will be incredibly difficult to come by, and reproducing more would get in the way of new card set production. B is nothing new to the TCG, as Heart Gold and Soul Silver did something similar, but with Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia releasing later this year, it seems unlikely. C is definitely the most plausible one, but I'm not knowledgeable enough about the TCG to know if that may deeply screw up some systems that the Pokemon Company would not want to tamper with. And finally, option D, which is the least least riskiest option for the TCG, but of course the worst option for the games. Sure, if you want to say that Gen 10 releasing this year is a bad thing, which I don't think it is, because at the end of the day, people think that just because it's going to be another extra year's worth of time, like for them to work on the game, that's going to somehow make a difference. But I really doubt that's really going to make any difference. Like the extra time, the game is like, let's be honest here, okay? Let's be really clear. Gen 10, probably by the halfway point of this year, will have already been finished, right? If not already finished, right? If it's coming out this year, the game was already finished last year, right? And realistically, there is only one thing that benefit we get of them having more time is less bugs and glitches, which is honestly, you know what? If they need another year to just hash out all bugs and issues, then fine. But if we have to wait another year and in 2026 we get Gen 10 and it's still a mess, then it doesn't matter how many years they have. They just don't know how to fix their own issues. And I think that's something that just is inherently going to be an issue with Game Freak forever. And it's not something that can be changed. By the way, in short, releasing Gen 10 in 2026 has the potential to deeply tamper with the organized scheduling of one of the Pokemon Company's biggest moneymakers. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But something you should keep in the back of your brain when going into February 27th is, first of all, Synapse misconceptions. I'm guessing Central has something to do with the misconceptions, but no. Synapse is not the canceled game where you ride on a Pokemon. No, Synapse is the project they're still working on. Rodeo is the canceled one. So they say that game, the one that's canceled, is Rodeo. Synapse is a Splatoon-like multiplayer game multiplayer focused game developed by Game Freak, Ilka, and the Pokemon Company. Since they are saying Ilka and the Pokemon Company, I'm guessing that means Pokemon Works is working on it, exactly like I said. Many people are under the assumption that Splatoon-like refers to an action shooter game, but with Pokemon, that may very well be true. However, due to the fact that Game Freak is working on it, what I believe it is a mainline title Pokemon with live service elements. I have more IDs for this, but honestly, border on headcanon, so I'm not going to go there. But just know that Synapse may be a game that you might want to think about a little more often. So yes, I do think Synapse is definitely a project that I could see happening. Like, I will say, if I have a bingo card, I think Project Synapse is a high possibility. We just had something like Marvel Rivals released. Now, Marvel Rivals is a hero shooter. Imagine that format. That can definitely work for Pokemon. Pokemon, it's bizarre to say, but Pokemon works as a lot of different formats. Pokemon works as a MOBA, because we've seen the proof that it works like a MOBA, okay? We have Pokemon Unite. Pokemon works like an MMORPG. That's why PokeMMO, which is a fan game, has been running for multiple years successfully because people just play that shit. People like Pokemon. Honestly, a little too much, I'm gonna say. A little too much. They love the fucking franchise. So of course they keep playing it. But it doesn't end there. People also love fighting games. So Pokemon had a fighting game, Pokken Tournament, right? Like Pokken DX or whatever. Like, that was another like format that Pokemon fits in. Pokemon also fits as a hero shooter. Like, it just does. I can 100% see it working. Like, it just makes sense. It fits so well. Having different Pokemon that you control, and then you fight, and you try to take control of points, and just think Marvel Rivals. It 100% could work like in that format. Like, it definitely can. So I could see something like that. Or, like they say, Splatoon-like. Think about what Splatoon really is. Splatoon is essentially a hero shooter without heroes. It is a shooter. It's an FPS game. It's a shooter game. It's a competitive shooter game, right? And that's basically where they could land a Pokemon style game like Synapse in as well. It could work like that because you have certain Pokemon that can shoot abilities like, I don't know, Charizard can shoot flames. You have Pikachu, it can do electrical shocks. You have Pokemon that are, close combat. You have Pokemon for healing, which, like, again, it's perfect. It's just like, it literally lends itself perfectly for something like this. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But next up, though, they say that, then they go on and say, let's see, where were we? Many people are under the assumption that Splatoon-like refers to, of course, a shooter game, but with Pokemon, that may very well be true. However, due to the fact that Game Freak is working on it, what I believe it is a mainline titled Pokemon game with live service elements, which I don't know if I agree with that part. But just know that Synapse may be a game that you might want to think about a little more often. True, ZA takes place in the past and doesn't take place entirely in Lumio City. I've seen enough arguments on VP recently to know that this has been a debate frequently amongst users, and I believe that most of you guys agree that it's taken place in the past. Despite this, I still want to throw my piece in here. Legends EA is going to take place around the same time as Legends Arceus. Maybe a couple of years later, but in the same general time period. Now, I disagree with this. I don't think it necessarily proves that it's going to be then. I have a feeling it could be placed in the future. I don't see why the game couldn't be placed in the future. And also, we know for a fact the entire game is taking place in Lumio City. Like, that's something they literally word for word said on Twitter officially. This is not a matter of, they literally said it. But of course, Lumio City doesn't necessarily have to mean the Lumio City from X and Y. Like, they can expand it. Like, think about it. The city of Paris isn't just the city of Paris. The city of Paris also encapsulates a lot of stuff around it. Like, if you actually look at a map, if you look at the like, think about counties, like certain counties, right? Like, it's kind of like that. Like, Paris is one thing, but the Paris, like, you know, area is beyond just the city of Paris. So I feel like they could definitely do Lumio City and then the area around Lumios as the part you play in. Also, there are games out there that are fully set within a single city. A good example of that would be the Spider-Man games. They're set within a singular city, and they work fine. They work totally fine. All Pokemon needs to do is make a really large place, but actually make interesting stuff to do there. Like, you don't need... Because if you really think about it, what is Scarlet and Violet really? It is literally just giant open fields with nothing to do, and occasionally a few cities, and those cities have nothing to do in them either. Like, if you really break it down... It's an empty world, like, genuinely. What they need to do is make that world interactable, make things to do, allow us to go into buildings, for crying out loud, without having to go through a loading screen. Please, please, Game Freak, please don't let me go through a loading screen to buy freaking a hairstyle for my character. It's ridiculous. But either way, then they say, general time period. I am 95% certain of this. No, just because it's redevelopment means that it's referring to the modern Lumio City. It's obviously referring to an older rendition of Lumio City that you are just in the start of the game at. Lumios City is already a place for people and Pokemon. This isn't made super clear in the game because of the 3DS limitations, but if you took a look at the official art, there's clearly the case. And no, it's not going to be in the 20th century. Hausmann's renovation of Paris is literally like the identical to what we know about ZA and happened in the mid 1800s. Well, we don't really know anything about ZA. Saying that we know about what we know about ZA is not really true. We don't really know anything about ZA. Well, all we know is that the game is gonna set us in in Lumio City, in the Kalos region, and we're talking about a redevelopment plan that's gonna be taking place. We don't know if it's specifically referring to a past, like something that's set in the past or not. We don't really know that necessarily. It's, again, something we have to wait and see. But again, being set in the past makes the most sense because Legends Arceus did it, but being set in the future would also make sense with the whole, like, Legends Arceus in the past, Scarlet and Violet in the present, and, you know, Legends ZA in the future. Like, that would actually make a lot of sense in that format. But I do think the past makes the most sense if they're following the logic that Legends games are meant to be set in the past. By the way, it makes super clear in the game because of the 3DS limitations, but if you look at the official art, of course, you know, we already read through that. Let's see. And would you look at that? That's around the same time Legends Arceus. Wait, let's see. And that happened in the mid 1800s. Would you look at that? That's around the same time Legends Arceus took place. One last thing. Legends Arceus clearly wanted to emphasize how the game's identity is rooted in the past with the rudimentary technology and stuff. Why would they abandon that amazing identity in the very next title? This next point I'm a little less confident on, but I still think it's true. The tweet that stated ZA takes place entirely in the city was almost definitely a mistake. There's no way... Okay, well, no, I'm sorry. Please, brother, you cannot say it's a mistake when they kept the tweet up. You know what they can do? Delete the tweet and make the retweet. No, that's just no. Well, you cannot be like, I think it's a mistake. Yeah, you can think that, but that's not the reality of it. There's no way that Nintendo America knew that much about ZA when they said that. Of course they did. Of course they did. It's the same marketing teams. There's the same people involved. Of course they did. It's ridiculous. But yeah, either way, they say, again, if I got information wrong or you want to call me whatever you want, feel free to let me know. I'll be active in this thread until I get bored. But yeah, I don't know, man. It is an interesting post nonetheless. I will give this person credit for actually putting, you know, these thoughts out there because it's interesting. It's very interesting to talk about. And I don't know. I want to know you guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below because I feel like there's a lot that can be said about Project Synapse and Project Rodeo and how these things just never came to be. There's a lot that can be said about that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.